Columbia women's basketball looks like a team that's preparing to make a postseason run in March. The Lions are 21-5 on the season, 12-1 in the Ivy League. And let's send things over to Perry Sook right now, who's with their head coach, Megan Griffith.
Hey, Moose. Yes, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce the head coach of the Columbia Women's Lions, the winningest coach in program history, and a strong contender, in my opinion, for Ivy League Coach of the Year, Megan Griffith. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Perry.
Now, Coach, you're coming off this season where you get a program first ever Ivy League, but then you're losing 7 players, you lose 3 out of 5 starters, and everyone's writing you off for a rebuild season. Well, all of a sudden, I'm talking to you preseason, and you go, well, no, this team has the potential, this is preseason, mind you, to be the best team that has ever worn the Columbia uniform. How did you know? Because here we are, one game away from repeating as title contenders.
Yeah, well, it's about the pieces, right? And how do you put them together? I think every great team is like a puzzle. And last year, I knew what we were going to have, like, before the season started. You know, we were returning so many people. We didn't graduate. We had graduated 1 senior. And I just felt like, okay, this is the team that we're going to be. This year's team, very different. I felt like we got the pieces that we were missing from an IQ standpoint. Just the versatility, being able to move people around, and the depth. Last year we weren't as deep. You know, we had like a 6-7 player rotation. This year we can go 8-9. And so I thought if we could put it together, and my staff, if we could get them there, we had a scary high ceiling and potential to be great.
Now, Coach, one of those pieces that has stuck around, might I say, the only player besides Caitlin Clark that has averaged 3+3 pointers over their entire career, Abby Shue, you know, went off, did the FIBA with Team USA, and is now just the 4th player ever to break 2,000 points for the Ivy League. How important is she to this team?
I mean, she's massively important. There's no secret, and it's no coincidence that our team has grown as she has grown. And I think her biggest step this year is become a 2-way player. You know, last year she had a lot of pieces around her that could defend. Caitlin Davis, Jada Patrick, Hannah Pratt. And I think this year she's really understand that big step to take to become the pro that she's going to be, and the leader that she's going to be. But, you know, I told her, you know, preseason, I don't want you to be player of the year. I want you to be defensive player of the year, you know. And it just took the pressure off, I think, from thinking about how much she has to do on the offensive end. So she's tremendous, and, you know, she's absolutely led us to this point.
Now, Coach, speaking of that pressure, as you guys have played on with this Ivy League, now 1 game away against Cornell this weekend from repeating as at least partial Ivy League regular season champs, how do you keep that 1-game mentality, and what's the game plan going into Cornell?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly every day matters at this point, and making every day count. So, you know, today, you know, we're doing skills. We jump right into a full practice, but it's like, you know, how we start every week is the most important day of the week. That's what we tell them. It's like we got to set the tone the right way, you know, and the job's not done. You know, it's like you have to insert, you know, adversity and conflict into the weeks to make sure that we're keeping them on their toes, especially for a 1-game prep. You know, that's very different coming off of back-to-the-back, going into a 1 game and then back into the tournament, 2-game prep. So, you know, right now we're just trying to keep us focused on the right things that are in our control. And, you know, for Cornell, you know, it's a sets-heavy team. You know, I have a ton of respect for Dana Smith, their head coach. I've known her for quite some time now, and you know, we got to be ready for what they're going to throw at us, and they're going to give us their best. That I know. So it's a great test for us heading into this last part of the season.
So, Coach, obviously Cornell on the road, but you guys have already clinched your spot in the Ivy League tournament, and that just happens to be at Levian Gymnasium. The crowds this year for the Columbia games I've made it out for have been outstanding. What kind of an advantage do you feel like you have basically playing home games throughout the Ivy League tournament?
It's huge. You know, we have an amazing fan base. You know, we call our student section the Lion's Den. We have community support. We have campus support. We have, you know, New York City support. And I think that's the massive advantage for us, is that nowhere else in our league can say those things. Nobody's been playing in front of crowds like this all year, especially on the women's side. And, you know, I really believe that that's going to be like our 6th player when we step foot in the Ivy League tournament next week.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Also looking forward to the Saturday. But the season hopefully doesn't end there. You guys are already receiving votes in the AP Top 25 poll, but it's not that simple, unfortunately, when you're picking the 64. If you had to give me your pitch, I know Kyle over there already has his pitch ready, but if you had to give me your pitch for why this team should be playing in March, for the first time ever, I might add, what would it be?
Yeah, well, you know, I think coming off last season, we really showed the country, we showed the committee that we were deserving of a spot in the tournament to play, you know, on April 1st against Kansas, who was arguably the other first team out of the tournament, and to show like the world, hey, these are two great basketball teams that deserved a chance. Coming off that season, not really having missed a beat, playing a challenging non-conference schedule, you know, a top 100 schedule, Our net is in the 50s right now, which, I wish it was a little bit higher, but it's like you win that game against Duke, you win that Florida game. But we put ourselves in the position to be in front of the committee with the history of last year, and we just got to take care of business. Beating a top 25 team on our home floor against Princeton, that was big for us. Being on this 18 of 19 game win streak that we're on, we're peaking at the right time, and that's, I think, what last year the committee said that we weren't doing. So, we're doing what's in our control at this point.
Certainly seems like you are, and taking care of things one game at a time. Look forward to this weekend. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today. And Moose, I'll throw it back over to you.